up? I got Naskin here with me. This ain't a diss song, but yeah, you know what it is. I'm a cheesehead, y'all niggas cheese whiz. Pittsburgh Steelers, that's nothing. That Super Bowl ring, that's nothing. Pull up in your town when you.
I thought just a quick few comments. I told the guys, whether it's regular season, preseason, it always feels much better to win than lose. So I was happy about that, and more than anything else, just I thought our guys gave great effort, and so with that, I'll take any questions.
Matt, can you kind of go through the philosophy tonight of sitting so many of the guys that are important to what you guys do?
Yeah, I think it really came down to the opportunity to play against the Texans in practice. And we gave those guys the majority of the reps, the ones, and, I thought they got the necessary work in throughout the week, and, I didn't want to put them at risk tonight.
Speaking of the ones, you had Lane Taylor out there, your lone kind of starting offensive lineman. Is he kind of fending off something from Jenkins, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's a competition, and as long as that is going to be a competition, we want to see those guys go at it. And I thought Lane did an excellent job and handled himself the right way. And again, we're just it's always going to be about competition.
Yeah, I know you got good work in practice, but do you need, and I guess how much game work do you need with the group that's going to be going into Chicago on that first night?
Yeah, I think that's something that we're going to assess on a weekly basis, and I know going into this next game, they'll get some reps against the Ravens, and we'll just see how that game goes and how many reps they're exactly going to get.
You did a lot of subbing on offense. I mean, almost every snap there was at least one new guy coming in. What do you like about changing up the personnel down after down?
Yeah, I just it was kind of just part of the plan. It doesn't always work that way, but I think it's going to benefit us to be multiple personnel and be able to throw 21, 12, 11 at you at any given time and just try to figure out what is the best way to attack an opponent.
Do you have to then drill as far as when you're doing all the subbing? You're talking about the urgency of getting in and out of the huddle and to the line of scrimmage. Is that part of that operation?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's a credit to the assistant coaches that we have, and I thought, Justin Outten handles our personnel on the sidelines, but, Elvis Whitted, Ben Sermons did a great job of making sure that their guys were going in and out with urgency. I thought the quarterbacks were communicating well in the huddle, so we don't get caught with 12 in the huddle ever, especially that's always a concern when you got guys running in and out every play. But, we wanted to keep guys fresh and rotate guys, and I was really happy with just that overall procedure.
About your quarterbacks tonight? I know obviously you haven't seen the film, but your initial impressions of the way Deshaun and Tim handled themselves?
Yeah, more than anything else was the command. That's what we were looking for. I thought they commanded the huddle. I thought, it seemed to me just, that the communication was on point. Like I said, we didn't have any delay of games. I thought we got up to the line just like I've been talking about with urgency. And I just thought the operation was clean. And they did a nice job executing when the plays were there.
Do you have someone that you tell to throw the challenge flag, and who was that?
I did have somebody tonight. It was Joe McKillop. So he's my assistant, and, it was just more or less, I didn't know if I was ever going to be in a situation where, you might need to challenge a play and you're making an adjustment with the offense on the bench, and I didn't want to throw one from the water coolers, like 30 yards away or whatever. So I gave it to Joe, and, he was around me the whole time. So, and I'm always listening to what the guys say upstairs, and, it was just one of those situations where I could have easily have thrown it in that particular situation. But, I gave it to Joe pregame because those officials needed to know prior to the game who was going to be holding the challenge flag. You know what? It's something that we'll assess moving forward because I also, just being limited mobility-wise, had Joe was also in charge of being able to, if the ball was in the red zone, to go down and call a timeout. And so that communication kind of got a little screwed up right before the half when we're trying to call a timeout with like 25 seconds, and then they finally give it to us at 5 seconds, which at that point in time I didn't want it anymore. So it happened, and so I told Joe, hey, you got to get like a headset so you can hear me say no after they didn't recognize it.
Did you allow yourself at all a moment to kind of soak it all in? This was your first game as a head coach, and if so, what did you reflect on? What did you think about?
Yeah, no, there was just a brief period of time where I look up and you just see all the greats written all in Lambeau, and it is a pretty cool moment, and it's something I'll never forget.
Why did Josh Jones not suit up?
Because he's got he just had a little nagging injury, and he'll be fine, but that's why.
What do you like about the defense's ability specifically to take the ball away tonight?
Yeah, that's what we talk about all the time. We're going to be about the ball, and that was the difference in the game. When you win the turnover battle, I don't know if it was the final 4-2, I believe. So when you're +2 in the turnover ratio, you got a great opportunity to win the game.
How did you like the Deshaun's and Tim? I think Tim maybe had a play action or two. I know he didn't throw too many balls, but how important was that action? And it seemed like that seemed to work well for Deshaun, getting into a rhythm.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and that's why you have to run the football. Otherwise, those actions won't work. And I think there's a lot of room for improvement in our run game. But I was happy that we were able to, because the ones that you're talking about in particular come out pretty fast too. So it definitely helps with the protection of that.
Pettin was up in the box last year. Is that his decision to go to the sideline, or did you encourage that?
Yeah, no, he wanted to be on the sideline, and so I got no problem with that. It's wherever he feels like he can best communicate with our defensive players and call the best game possible.
Is that the plan going forward?
I think that's something that we're always going to evaluate, but that's what I anticipate, yes. Nothing right now. That's something that we'll get into as he gets further assessed moving forward.
Talk about the defensive plays. What about a big special teams splash there early on to kind of set the tone?
Yeah, that was awesome. So we had that big turnover that was a touchdown, and I thought that kind of got us going a little bit, gave us some juice, and gave us some momentum.
Talk about the play of Dexter Williams, will you?
Yeah, I thought just, initial assessment, I thought he ran hard. He broke a few tackles, but till I see him continuing to press the heels of the linemen, I'm going to be careful about giving him too much credit. But I thought he ran hard, and he was productive.
Did you learn anything from your challenge about how they're going to call that?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's got to be clear and obvious, and if it's not going to get overturned.
What was the process there? Did you got information from up top?
Yeah, and they just said, I told you guys all along that we're going to be aggressive, and I told those guys upstairs, hey, if it's something we think that potentially could overturn and it's a big play, challenge it. So that's why we did it.
What's the next step for Deshaun? What do you want to see from him going forward after this?
Yeah, it's just it's consistency on a daily basis, and not just in the game, but in practice. I know it's one game, and yeah, I thought he did a nice job tonight, but it's got to be each and every day.
What about Shepard do you like? Because he just seems to continually make plays, and obviously the big one tonight, but he tends to show up a little bit every day.
Yeah, I think he's done a nice job, and I'll say this about all the young guys. What's so impressive is it's their first NFL game, and it's in Lambeau. I mean, that's a big deal. And these guys, I didn't see any big eyes. I didn't think it was too big for them. So I thought that was really encouraging for all those young guys.
Your quarter.
You had a lot going on tonight, and you were focused on the game, but did you happen to hear the foghorn, and what were your thoughts on that?
The one right before third down? Yeah. Hey, I just want anything that's going to get fans out of their seat and make it a true home field advantage. So I don't care what it is. If you got an idea, we'll take it.
Is that something you asked for specifically? Or?
It's something we've all been talking about. Just how do we get this to be a tremendous home field advantage and get the crowd off their feet and make it just a nightmare for opposing offenses. Because I know this. I was in Atlanta in 2016, and there were a bunch of Packer fans there, and we were going on the silent count in our home stadium. And to me, that's the standard. So when we show up other places and overtake those stadiums, I think it's intimidating for the opponent. And how can we make that same environment when teams come in here?
Did you get a chance to watch the defense much?
I did. I watched quite a bit of it. Yeah, I thought he did a nice job. Obviously, he had I don't know what the final tackle, how many tackles he ended up with, but he seemed to be all over the field. But I thought overall, it was pretty sloppy overall from a defensive perspective in terms of tackling. The tackling wasn't good enough. We obviously, anytime you go against Joe Webb, that's a nightmare. I'm telling you, the guy can create and extend plays, and he did it tonight. So credit to the Texans, to Joe. But I thought there was just far too many missed tackles, and that's something that we're going to really look at, and how can we correct that moving forward.
Your quarterback had some pointed remarks kind of in direct opposition to what you were talking about in regards to the joint practices. Did you speak to him at all about that?
No, you didn't see me talk. I don't talk to him anymore. No, I'm just no, you know what? There's a lot of things that a lot of players don't like about training camp. And, but I thought, and from his perspective, hey, I can understand where he's coming from in some regard, because it's not like they're playing, they run about 4 different coverages. So it's not overly complicated. It's not like Pettin throwing everything at you. So I get it from his perspective. But at the same time, there's 10 other guys on the field with him on each play. And it was great for us, especially when you talk about our run game, getting some different looks to go against. So I thought, I always respect his opinion, just like I do all our players. But I still think it was beneficial for us. The one thing I will comment on that I thought that he was dead right on was when you look at the kickoff. They ramped up their intensity level, and we didn't match it. And it looked a little, I think we got it taken to us a little bit. And that's something that, moving forward, I probably wouldn't do again, is those full cover kickoff drills.
2 more, please.
Hey, Matt, what did Aaron get out of tonight then? But, it looked like you had him on the headset the whole time. What were the benefits to him tonight, other than not exposing him to injury?
Yeah, I think it's just more or less, again, the communication between myself and the quarterbacks. And he told me, because you can see when we're out at practice, sometimes there is, I don't know if we're playing the music too loud or what, but they're having a hard time hearing me with the walkie-talkies. And they said tonight was crystal clear. And I think you saw it in regards to us. I don't know. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 busted play calls, but other than that, it was pretty clean.
So, I just love my team. Yeah, that's the team with them big G's on the helmet.